Hello everyone, I guess Jen, hopefully you're having a wonderful day, and today we are here with a video recapping 2025. I have 2026 up in the top right. I'm going to change that for whenever I post the thumbnail, but why not? Let's just change it now. We're in 2026, we're reviewing 2025. A week late, but I do like to wait for the year to wrap up in case there are any last minute sales that happen to stroll through, and given the market, that certainly was the case. So pretty simple premise, pretty fun to go and see what is sold over this last year that gets into the top 20. Keep in mind this is just public sales, so your private sales that you've done with people, there actually are some private sales in here, but they're reported publicly, so like, they've been through the vetting process, all that. Basically, sales that we know exist, right? I can't draw from sales that are in the ether, so we are limited to what we have here today. Getting started, let's go with number 20. Here we are, the 1957 O&B Balas Equipe Pele. This is a 57 release for him. He's only got a couple of those, so pretty big time. And this certainly was a year of modern, as we'll see going into the next 19 cards. But I do think that this is certainly a worthy one to break into the top 20. And if you put all the 20 on the table that we have here today, this might be my pick. Granted, I lean a little vintage these days, but big time Pele, and managed to sneak in here. This sort of was prior to the bigger boom we've had this year. That sort of came around July and August and into September. But even then, Pele really hasn't gained a whole lot of steam as of late, so I don't know how much this would have moved, but ultimately it gets in here at number 20 at 107,000. At 109,000, just a smidge higher here in November, we had a Cristiano Ronaldo Gold Power Prism from 2018, numbered out of 5, BGS 95, back when BGS was its own entity. But pretty big card, a pretty big grade as well to match a really cool modern card there of Ronaldo. Of course, Prisms had a lot of fanfare, 2014 being the primary focus, but 2018 as well, existing in its own right here with this number 19 edition. At number 18, we have the first of a couple flawless Messis we'll see. This is the Flawless Finishes Gold Proof signatures here, 2 of 2. There's a lot of added gold proofs that aren't necessarily in the ordinary checklist. They exist elsewhere, but they are also flawless cards released with the set, and being numbered out of 2, being Messi on card, iconic sort of image there. 110,000 is what that pulled in September. At number 17, we have a Cristiano Ronaldo Red Chrome Auto from 2017. The PSA grade on the card itself was a 10. The sticker was not graded, the autograph that is. Decent looking, maybe a little off sticker, maybe a little smudge, but ultimately, I mean, kind of decent for what you see from a lot of Ronaldo stickers of the time. 111,000 here for what has been a really desirable set in 2017 Chrome. The Reds, of course, being, well, nearly the lowest number. You have Superfractors as well. The Reds are a big chase. Autographs actually don't carry a big premium, if any, really, but historically in collecting it would have been a bigger card with the autograph. Not necessarily the case nowadays, but clearly still a big card nonetheless. At number 16, another Ronaldo here with a 2021 impeccable jersey number auto. These are numbered to 7. This is 7 of 7, so you got all the jersey number things going on there. PSA 9 grade on a thick card, also not easy. And certainly the niches within Impeccable do have a lot of fanfare, and this being one of them, as you can clearly tell. This also sold in March, which, as I've already stated, was prior to a lot of the Messi Ronaldo hype that we saw late year. So makes you wonder if this would do even more now. At least it makes me wonder that. Autograph again looks pretty good. A little bit of streak there in the R, but ultimately, what are you going to do? 112,000 there as we increase ever higher. 122, taking a 10K leap here to number 15. This is the 2016-2017 Noir Signature Spotlights, numbered out of 25 from what was then the only Noir set. Of course, we know now it sort of had a return. The Noir Spotlight signatures are a really chased subset within Noir. Great checklist, really cool cards. They're thick. They have the sort of matte finish on it, and the Spotlight effect actually sort of plays out in hand when you have one of these. Personally, I hang out in the lower end, and of course I'm a USMNT guy, at least lower end in regard to what we're looking at here, and I have a Clint Dempsey. It's one of my favorite Clint Dempsey cards. I think they're great, and clearly collectors have sort of formed around this as well and think the same thing. There's only 25 of them. There's no other parallels of the card itself, hence why it gets such a big number. And of course, Messi being one of, if not the most chased player within this, gets a big number when his goes to auction. PSA 7 typically would be kind of poor, but actually on these, they are terrible to try to keep in good condition, so a 7's probably pretty decent. At number 14, we have a Cristiano Ronaldo 2003-2004 Upper Deck. They did put rookie, okay, I was looking for it. You got to put rookie in the title if you're selling it. Of course, we know this not really to be a rookie, but it's a second-year Cristiano Ronaldo Upper Deck release, and it is his first numbered release here. And of course, being numbered out of 7 for Cristiano Ronaldo himself. Within this Upper Deck set, some of the players had their jersey number as the numbering for these particular gold releases, which of course makes this Ronaldo one pretty hard to get, being numbered out of 7. There are a few different Upper Deck cards within this set, so there are numbered cards out of 7, so there's not 7 in total. I think there's 21. Ultimately, all going to be sort of, really iconic cards from the era, and 128,000 here for PSA 6 certainly cements that. This was a big jump this year for this card. And I haven't stated it yet, but I'll state it now that whenever a card sells multiple times, I'm taking the highest sale of this. So if this sold in a different grade for a lower price, doesn't make the list. Same thing will be true for the 71 Bisses eventually. There will only be one on the list, but there were many sales that would have made it. Wanted to keep it a bit more fun and unique. But at number 13, speaking of fun and unique, this is a first-year Topps Dynasty R9 with, of course, the top of the crest there for Real Madrid in the patch window. Nice looking auto as well, being that it's blue autograph on a white kit makes it easy to read. Of course, Topps Dynasty came out with a lot of fanfare, and I'm not quite sure, but I would have to say this certainly ranks as one of the top-selling cards within this set at this point, if not the top, which is a little surprising because, of course, you got like Messi and Haaland and all that. But now that I think about it, I think a Messi crest also sold for a big number, but that was before this, so I think the Messi's probably even bigger now at this point. But crazy card, crazy sale, and really fun to see that, or really interesting and exciting to see that in Modern. Of course, there's a lot of excitement in the space in general at this point in time, and this certainly exemplifies that. At number 13, just a cautionary warning that just because a sale appears in the records of Card Ladder, and just because I sorted it into this list, does not mean it necessarily got paid for. So this was an honorable mention there. 100K on this Mbappe Topps PSG team set, probably not, but I think that that's important to note, because while I would imagine a majority of these cards did get sold, there is the possibility that one or two, or however many, actually did not get paid for. And so that's always worth taking into consideration. So I wanted to have a brief aside there for that. Next up, though, Big Daddy here, 2014 gold Cristiano Ronaldo out of 10, PSA 10. Got all the little added features that you could possibly want there. Gold first year Prism out of 10 PSA. I mean, it just does it get better? Maybe, a black finite 101, sure. But ultimately, big time card and a big sale. This does not have the date on it, I don't believe, but from memory, this was earlier this year. So I'd be interested where people thought this was now. Definitely one of the bigger cards within 2014 Prism. And ultimately, kind of seems like a deal at this point in time. But of course, things change, time change, feelings change. And so, compared to some of the other sales here, this one definitely seems like a relative deal at 162,000. I mean, make it that way you will. But next to it, or after that, I guess, we have a 1958 Alifa Boulanger PSA 8. A pretty strong grade here. The highest you'll really ever see is a 9, so an 8 is certainly up there. This nets 164,000, nearly 165 here, and gets into the list at 11. Of course, sort of the iconic Pele at this moment in time. As we did see earlier, 57 Pele. Granted, it was an SGC 1, sort of had writing or a stamp over the front, so, there's a lot of factors to consider, but this is 58. It's technically second year, but it is sort of the big card in a lot of people's minds at this point in time for Pele, and in a super strong grade is going to pull a big number, as you can tell. This also was in February again, prior to the boom, but how much is Pele boom? Not a ton. But, on the other hand, recently in September, we had a $183,000 sale at number 10 for the Pele World Cup Stars Black Prism, a one-of-one from the insert set World Cup Stars. And as you can tell, this is a super strong Pele sale, and I'll spoil it here and say that this was the top Pele sale of the year, for whatever that's worth. Crazy. I mean, it's really crazy from my point of view. I find it hard to believe that in any era of other sports you have like, well, depending, like if someone was produced during the junk wax era, I could see like a parallel going for more than junk wax, sure. But 50s Pele is not necessarily. I mean, it's relatively abundant compared to like vintage soccer, but in the world of collecting at large, it's pretty scarce. So it's just crazy to see, a 30, 40 year later card go for the most out of any card this year for Pele. But ultimately, that's where we stand. And the set's got a lot of love behind it, and I certainly understand that. Just weird when you compare it all together, but this whole thing's weird. This whole card collecting thing is weird, so hard to explain away any of it, really. After that, number 9, speaking of weird things to try to explain, we have a Kaboom 1 of 1, although, if you said that might be enough, but if you look a little deeper in the card, this year there's no Kaboom sparkle shine in the background. It's just kind of a flat design, and also unlicensed. So you got Lionel Messi with Miami, who's apparently just a pink pajama club, and 200K on that is insane. It's absolute insanity, at least from my point of view. But at the same time, Kaboom at large is having a massive moment right now, and of course Messi sort of along with that is doing the same, and so I could see how those worlds collide, but just seeing it play out again, quite strange. At number 8, we have an Eminence Messi 1 of 1 from the 2022 World Cup set. If you didn't know, he won the World Cup this year, so kind of a big deal, I guess. But 1 of 1 from one of the, if not the biggest product in soccer, of one of the biggest players in soccer, of one of the biggest moments in soccer. I mean, there's just so many ways you could go about this. But yeah, personally, I take this over the Pajama Kaboom, but hey. Everyone's got their own opinions, and this is just mine. But 200K again, big number, makes it into the top 8 here, which is certainly something. And number 7, speaking of the gold prisms we had earlier, here we have a BGS 9 2018 Messi. This was a little later in the year, hence the higher price. Well, of course it's also Messi, but BGS 9.5 compared to the PSA 10 2014 Ronaldo. Interesting to see this do nearly 50% more at a second year release of Messi as well, probably. But I certainly would say the least desired World Cup Prism gold of his. You'd rather have 2022 and 2014, at least I would. But still, massive number here, 216,000, and gets in at number 7 on the list. Then at number 6, another flawless here. This is a flawless finishes gold proof. So again, another one of the gold proofs. It's not necessarily of the direct flawless finishes checklist. It's somewhere else in the list with a little bit of added in cards, but it is a 1 of 1. Again, iconic image, flawless, all-time great set, I would say, in terms of modern soccer. One of the first big-time high-end releases that we've had, and a great checklist at that. And of course, a great card as well. So 276, certainly quite a big markup from what that sold for previously. I think this card had sold a couple years ago for like middle high 5 figures. I want to say like 70K, something like that, maybe 50, somewhere in that range. And now you're looking at 276. So certainly quite a step up there for that card in particular this last year. At number 5, we have one of a few different BGS or PSA 10. Sorry, who cares about BGS, am I right? But PSA 10 Cristiano Ronaldo rookies here, his Mega Cracks. This is a PSA 10. I believe the pop on this is around 40 or so. It's about double the Messi in terms of population. And this particular sale had taken place, I believe, early September for $288,000. As you can see on the bottom right of the screen, there were a couple other sales later September for $242 and basically $220. So it did take a bit of a step back from that big sale. But, sort of to be expected when something goes super strong in terms of pricing. If there's 40 out there, a couple others might sort of come out of the woodwork to see what they can snag. And that's sort of how it played out here. Of course, Cristiano Ronaldo only has 2 rookie cards. Well, 1 rookie card, 1 rookie sticker, offering 2 items basically in the card collecting segment. And of course, at least at this moment in time, this is sort of the chase of many. Clear parallels with the 2004 Mega Crank 71 bis Messi, sort of the Cristiano Ronaldo version of that same style of card. And in a PSA 10, gonna net a really big price. And as we'll come to see, the Messi will do even more here shortly. At number 4, we have a gold Kaboom Messi. You saw what the 1/1 green did. I think this shows you how much of a drop off that really was in terms of collecting features. This Kaboom Gold from 2018 Messi in the Barca kit goes for $385K via a private sale. Again, private sales, I don't know. I guess I would be a little more skeptical on a private sale that was, submitted for Card Ladder review for them to see if it's real and whatnot than I would be an auction house. Truth be told, you never really know. Nonetheless, $385K on this one. Rumors were, I think there was like a 1/1 private sale of a Kaboom green or whatever it might have been for like a $1.2 million or so. I mean, some big time numbers. So seeing a gold do this is certainly strong, but I guess with some context, you can sort of rationalize it in a world where it's hard to compare these sorts of cards because they're all just, so extraordinary. I do what I can, but 385 there in August certainly seemed like a strong showing. At number 3, we have the one and only Lamine Yamal to break into this list. I was expecting to have a little bit more of him to go ahead and talk about. Probably would have been the case if some of his bigger cards would have came out, but this is the biggest of what was available this last year. This had sold in, June of this year for $396,000. A PSA 10, 10 for the card, 10 for the autograph of the man of the hour, Lamine Yamal, his Superfractor out of Topps Chrome Euro for 2024. In the world of Lamine Yamal's, I wouldn't say that this is his best card. It probably has a spot in number 5 to 10 range. If I had to guess, some Superfractors definitely beat this out. You got some, marks of excellence 1/1s that exist, and so there's definitely other ones you would take above this, which makes it interesting to sort of think about a $400K price tag on a card that probably isn't his best card. But of course, he had quite the moment, and he was the talk of the town essentially all summer, it felt like, even though he didn't end up winning Nations League and he didn't win Ballon d'Or, but he was still just on everyone's minds. Could be good marketing by Barca, I'm not quite sure. I mean, obviously a great young player. I'm not trying to get anything twisted here, but yeah, it seems like people went a little crazy, and this sale certainly showcases that to some degree, but this is the only sale on the list, which is somewhat endearing. We'll keep it moving on to number 2 here. This is sort of a surprise, but I guess it harkens back to the idea that the cards that are going to make this list to some degree are the cards that sell. There are tons of great cards out there that didn't sell this last year that might have sold in these price ranges, and if you would have had me guess what the second highest sale of the year is, I wouldn't have guessed this, but certainly a big-time card. 2015 Panini Select Lionel Messi, black, 1/1. 2015 Select, sort of an odd one in the world of, modern soccer collecting, because 2014 so coveted, 2017 so coveted, and 2015, 2016 kind of slip under the radar, I feel like, to some degree. And, I mean, clearly that wasn't the case here, but in years past, it very well may have been. This one didn't get by anyone. And, of course, a 1/1 first-year Select Messi is a big card. $427,000 card in this example. Don't know what I would have guessed at the time. This was September when, Messi's going crazy and people are paying, potentially $1 million plus for 1/1 Kaboom. So is a 1/1 black Select at $400K really that crazy? In that world, in that realm of paying those big numbers, maybe not. Certainly a great card, at least from my perspective, and one deserving a big number, but this was at least surprising to me. And at number 1, I mean, who else, what else than the 71 bis Messi in a PSA 10? I mean, that's the talk of the town this year. Also sort of surprising in terms of how quick and how excited everyone was about it. Basically out of nowhere, it felt like. I mean, of course, we're getting closer to the 2026 World Cup, but my lord, the 2004 71 bis did huge numbers, and of course this one here being the highest soccer sale of this year, and I do believe ever, at $1.5 million for an NBA Gold PSA 10 71 bis. The NBA Gold sticker is basically an ex-PSA grader from way back in the day that grades PSA slabs and sort of says, like, this one looks better or worse based on the condition of the card. Make of that what you will. Some people are going to like it, some aren't. It's, at least some sort of data point of what someone else thinks of the card, and ultimately, maybe that's why it gets a bigger price here. As you can tell in the bottom right, there are a couple other sales, one a couple days prior to this sale at 1.1 million, and then one a couple weeks later at 960,000. Ultimately, every card is unique. Just because they're PSA 10s doesn't mean you're getting the same card. There was a lot of talk that PSA 10 that had sold for 960,000 certainly wouldn't be a 10 nowadays. PSA is harder than ever, probably a 9. At least that was the sentiment of many. And, if the NBA gold sticker and the card itself gives you confidence that it truly is a 10, maybe paying another 500,000 isn't crazy. Because ultimately we are buying cards, we're not buying plastic, and so all to say, make of it what you will, but super strong sale and blows basically everything else out of the water, nearly, well, this sale in particular, more than tripling the Black Select 1 of 1 Messi. So super, super strong sale here at 1.5 million, and that tops the year of 2025. Going to be a hard sale to beat for next year, but of course we'll see if that takes place. Hopefully you had fun with me going through the top 20 sales of 2025. Definitely a big year. All around fun year though, fun year. We had the early days where it was a little quiet, then it got really hot, and now it's sort of, a nice middle ground, at least to some extent. But I thought it was great, and happy to round it out with a recap here. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Any thought on the sales you saw here today, do drop a comment down below. And if you want to see more videos like this as soon as they go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.